What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be getting into my Week 21 NBA Power Rankings. It is really getting into the crunch time here now. Every team's fighting for seeding, for playing tournaments. Some teams may be tanking right now, to be honest. But, yeah, let's dive into the Power Rankings. We actually had two teams that are eliminated right now this week. So we're going to see those in these rankings. But one of the teams is at the bottom, number 30. We have the Houston Rockets. Staying at the same spot from last week. This team goes 2-1 this week, so at least they get not a bad week for Houston. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good week for them. They were really struggling before they lost. They were up to I don't even know how much of winning, a double-digit losing streak. So getting a good week was probably big for this program. Or this team. But yeah, I mean, obviously this team their season's done. As I mentioned, they're eliminated. Probably doesn't help them. They want a better pick, but then again, I don't like the idea of tanking because it doesn't help development of any of your players that are on your roster right now, which Rockets have a really young roster. So I don't think it's a good idea to be tanking on purpose. I don't think that they are, but we'll see, whatever. I just think that they're a very young team and just not very good. Let's just be straight up honest. The Rockets are the worst team in the NBA. Not too far behind, though, is number 21. We have the Detroit Pistons. Also going to be staying at the same spot. The Pistons this week go 0-3. Very close to being the bottom team, but really the thing that pops out for the Pistons for me is Bojan. He is injured right now, I believe. But if Bojan Bogdanovic is playing, this team's better than Houston because obviously Bojan Bogdanovic has had a really good year, been the main man for the Detroit Pistons this season. But yeah, again, kind of like the Rockets, very young team, just really need a lot of development. Cade Cunningham injured this season. That has not helped either. It's been a bad year for Detroit. That is for sure. But they're not eliminated yet. The team that is eliminated, dropping down a spot here, number 28, we have the San Antonio Spurs, who go 1-2 this week. So not the worst week in the world for San Antonio, but yeah, this team is eliminated, as I said. Obviously, this is I don't know how long Greg Popovich is going to be there. I would assume this probably would be his last year. I think the Rockets the Spurs, would probably want a younger coach to further this rebuild. Obviously they're not going to fire Greg Popovich because he's been done so much for that team over the years. He's arguably the best coach in sports, in general sports history. But yeah, San Antonio. Obviously, it's a very bad roster here. It's a really long way for them in this rebuild, and we'll see how it goes. But then number 27, jumping up a spot here, we have the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets this week go 1-2, so not a bad week for Charlotte. Obviously, last week I dropped them below San Antonio because of LaMelo Ball injury. He's out for the year, and without LaMelo Ball, this Hornets team sucks. Let's be straight up honest. There's no threat with the Hornets there. They are a bad team without LaMelo Ball. I mean, just not a lot of good pieces on this roster. Really, I mean, not a good building around LaMelo Ball this season. I mean, they made the play-in tournament last year, but this year's been a disaster for Charlotte. Really going to need to evaluate some things this offseason. But then the more exciting team, as I've been mentioning, all of these power rankings in the bad tier, number 26, we have the Orlando Magic. Also going to be staying at the same spot. The Magic this week go 1-2. So good week or not a good week, but Orlando, they've just been like this for a long time here, just as I've seen. Just like going 500, 1-2, 2-1, 2-2, whatever you want to say for Orlando each week. I mean, it hasn't been the best weeks for Orlando this year. So yeah, Orlando, they're a very young team. They got the likely rookie of the year in Polio. But yeah, I mean, still very young team. Still probably going to need another year for them to get over the top here. I see them in the bad year. I don't see them climbing into the play-in anytime soon. I mean, this season. That's going to be Orlando. But that is the bad tier. Let's go to the in the hunt tier. Drop it down a spot at 25. We have the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers this week go 1-2. So, yeah, I mean, the Pacers have just been kind of on a free fall lately. They had a good week after the All-Star break, but I mean, this is just an average week, and they're trying to climb themselves out of a hole. I mean, they're not too far. They're only 2 games back on the Wizards right now, who I think are the 10th seed in the East playing. So they're still right in that mix. It's still a very scrappy team, very competitive team, young team that has a bright future. But obviously, for Indiana, I don't expect them to make the play-in tournament at this point after that bad stretch that they had in February. All right, but then number 24, dropping down 7 spots here, we have the Utah Jazz. It's just such a little margin here between this play-in tier and in the hunt tier that you can drop really a lot if you have a bad week and other teams prove to go ahead of you here. The Jazz go 0-3 this week. I mean, this team, I'm a Jazz fan. That was just horrible basketball that they played in their 3 games. I mean, just horrible defense. Obviously, they have some excuses. Clarkson and Sexton have been injured for that stretch. Lauri Markkanen was injured on Sunday as well. But yeah, I mean, the Jazz just were not playing good. They did play good against the Mavericks. They also won today, but I'm not. This is as of before the games of today, so I'm not counting that yet. But anyway, Utah Jazz, not a good week for them at all. A lot of people saying that they're going to tank. I think that's a bad idea for Utah. I think that they're just fine to be a competitive team, develop these players, maybe get some experience in the playoffs with this young team. So yeah, that is the Jazz. All right, and then jumping up 2 spots here, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, wherever they are. Where are they? Okay, there they are. Sorry. Yeah, the Thunder this week go 3-1. So really good week for OKC. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander obviously proven why he's such a phenomenal talent in this league, playing great. Obviously, the Thunder are one of the brightest future teams in the NBA. So for them to get into the play-in tournament and play in the tournament and maybe go on a run in the playoffs would be pretty awesome for the Thunder's franchise for the future, because they can get that experience going. For these young guys, obviously they have that Gonzaga kid that got injured, that they picked really high in the draft. So this is a very young team. This is a very scary team for the future. I mean, they could really be a dangerous team just because of their draft picks. Very similar to the Utah Jazz down there. And both these teams, in the Thunder and the Jazz, already have a building block piece all in Lauri Markkanen and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So these rebuilds have been going really good. I mean, the Jazz rebuild has only been 1 year. I mean, it's just phenomenal how good they've been in 1 year. But anyway, that is the Thunder. And then number 22, staying at the same spot, we have the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls this week are going to go 1-2. So midweek for Chicago. Yeah, this team needs to climb up in the play-in tournament. This would be a really unsuccessful season if this team, let alone, if this team misses the play-in tournament, let alone, or misses this is what I'm trying to say, miss the playoffs, but let alone miss the play-in tournament. That would be very bad for Chicago. I mean, this is a team that's supposed to be good, and they're just. I mean, it's a very solid roster, and they have talent with Levine and Vucevic and DeRozan, but it's just been a bad year. I mean, the Bulls have just been so inconsistent. They've got to be better. All right, so then our first play-in tournament tier, dropping down 2 spots here, we have the Washington Wizards. The Wizards this week go 2-3. So not a bad week, but not a good week either for Washington. This team's just weird. I mean, very similar to the Bulls, just inconsistent. They have a lot of talent in this roster. Probably we're expecting more out of this year. If they miss the play-in tournament, that's going to be a very bad season for them. Again, similar to the Bulls, missing the playoffs would have been a bad season for them either way. I mean, this team's in a weird funk right now. Whether they should continue with this team or just straight up blow it up and start a rebuild, because it's been it's been a mediocre franchise for a while here. So we'll see what happens with Washington. We'll see if they can slide in the play-in tournament. Right now, I do think that they're one of the 10 best teams in the Eastern Conference. So we'll see if they can stay that way. And then jumping up 3 spots here at number 20, we have the LA Lakers. And I just want to say, let's look at the record first. The Lakers this week go 2-1, so not a bad week. Obviously, LeBron James is still recovering from that injury, but I think a lot of people have underestimated Anthony Davis's skill level because he's been injured so much. I mean, he's still such a freaking good player, and people got to recognize that. And LA, obviously, really good team. If LeBron James in, you do not want to play this team in the playoffs. The Lakers, scary team. But without LeBron James, I do think that the 20th best. Anthony Davis is leading this team. I do think that trade did a lot for the Lakers getting D'Angelo Russell. So I think that was a good trade for them. But, yeah, the Lakers are going to find themselves at number 20. And then jumping up 2 spots here into the play-in tournament tier as we're done with the In the Hunt tier, we have the Portland Trail Blazers. The Blazers this week are going to go 2-2, I believe. Yeah. Damian Lillard obviously continuing to put this team on his back. Just a dominant player, we all know. He's amazing. You can't underestimate Damian Lillard on any given night. Scored 71 a couple weeks ago. I think he scored like 13 40-point games or 14 or something crazy like that this season. It's just been an unbelievable year for Damian Lillard. Obviously, this talent around him isn't the best. They got to work on that, but man, we just gotta appreciate the skill level of Lillard. I mean, he's just unbelievable. All right, and then number 18 here, staying at the same spot, we have the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors this week go, I believe 0-3. Yeah, I think they went 0-2 or 0-2 or 3. Sorry, I'm not sure, but yeah, not a good week for Toronto. Yeah, so I mean, this Raptors team obviously is a well-coached team. They got a good roster here on this team, but I'm just not a big fan of Toronto. At Toronto's upside, I would say. I mean, they're a good team. They're going to compete every night, but obviously this team isn't going to be some top team. Okay, I figured it out. 1-3. That's what they went this week. So sorry, yeah. But yeah, Toronto. I mean, it's just been the same Raptors team I've said all year. Just a well-coached team. Pascal Siakam's a really good player, but not a team I'm expecting to do too much in the playoffs if they make it there. All right, and then jumping up 3 spots here, the Brooklyn Nets, just kind of a weird team to rank right now. Due to the record, they're probably going to make the play-in tournament either way, at least. Probably make the playoffs with their record. I mean, they go 3-0 this week. I mean, obviously, losing KD and losing Kyrie Irving is big, but they still got talent in this roster. They still got talent from those trades. And this team's still definitely a play-in team, in my opinion. They're definitely one of the 10 best teams in the Eastern Conference, especially with that record. They're not going to fall down that far. I don't even know. Yeah, that would be pretty absurd if that happens. But, Brooklyn Nets, you got to still respect this team and what in their roster. And, yeah, obviously very similar to the Raptors. Not a lot of upside on this team, but could make the playoffs, could maybe win a game or two and give a 1 seed some fits or a 2 seed or whoever they play, but not expecting too much out of this team. And then going to number 16 here, New Orleans Pelicans, obviously waiting for Zion Williamson to come back. That is big for this team. They go 1-2 this week, so not a bad week for New Orleans, but not the best week either. Yeah, like I mentioned, they're just trying to make the play-in tournament at this point and try and get back Zion Williamson because we saw what this team is like earlier this year with Zion. I mean, they were just really freaking good. They were one of the top teams in the NBA. They've really fallen off since then, though. Um, yeah, it's been a frustrating stretch, but still, obviously, the Pelicans with CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram and this whole other piece of roster here, they got a good team around Zion when he comes back. So I still believe in the Pelicans. I still think that they're a very solid team, and they're going to come in at 16. And you don't want to meet Zion Williamson and the Pelicans in the playoffs. I mean, they could probably upset a really good team. All right, and then dropping down 2 spots here, we have number 15, the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks this week are going to be going 2-2. So average week for Atlanta. It's been that way basically all season. Basically, yeah. I mean, they were good at the beginning, but not expecting too much out of this team. I mean, obviously, this team has a lot of upside with Trae Young, with DeJounte Murray. I mean, you can't count out those two. We saw the Hawks go on a run to the Eastern Conference Finals a few years ago, which was impressive. They beat the Heat in the playoffs, I believe, as a 1 seed, and beat the Knicks as well. So that's impressive for. I'm not sure. I'm not sure who they beat as a 1 seed, but it might have been the Heat. But anyway, the Hawks obviously a good team and can be a very explosive team. Been an inconsistent team this season, but yeah, this team's definitely going to make the play-in tournament, and then they'll just see if they can make the playoffs and do some damage there. All right, and the number 14 here, staying at the same spot, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves. The T-Wolves this week are going to go 2-1. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that Cat is back yet. I'm just gonna assume he isn't because I thought he would be back like maybe in a week or two from now. But yeah, obviously, they need Cat back because this team is not the same with. Well, I mean, I wouldn't actually say that. I mean, Rudy and Cat need to gel together on this team. If they can get together, we know that this team has a lot of upside. But I'm not so sure how that's going to work, though. That trade was just not a very good trade. Honestly, they might be better with just one of them right now. I mean, Rudy's playing good. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the T-Wolves when he comes back. But even without him, I do think that they're the 14th best team in the NBA. And then number 13 here, dropping down a spot, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Ever since that Kyrie Irving trade, the Mavericks defense has just been atrocious. Let's just say that first. But yeah, the Mavericks this week go 1-2, I believe. Yeah, or sorry, 1-1. Yeah, they only played 2 games, so trying to mesh with Luka and Kyrie Irving. We'll see if that can work out on this team. I'm not sure if it can. But yeah, Dallas Mavericks. We'll see if it. Obviously, if Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving can mesh, I mean, this team's dangerous. They could really slide up scoreboards. And you don't want to play the Mavericks if they figure things out. But right now, they're just a very inconsistent team, and I'm just with Kyrie Irving, I'm not sure if this is going to work out for them, at least this year. All right, but then let's go to the playoffs here. We're going to start out with an interesting case. Dropping down 5 spots, we have the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't really know what to do with this team at the moment. I mean, obviously losing Ja Morant, that is a huge injury. I mean, sorry, not a situation that's going on here. I don't know how it's going to affect. I don't know how long it's going to be in effect for them. If it's going to be a whole season thing, or is it going to be like a 4-game thing like the Grizzlies said? I have no idea at this point. But without him, they're definitely number 12. They're definitely at most number 12. Maybe probably even below that, but I'm giving them a little bit the benefit of the doubt because I'm not sure what the situation is. But yeah, the Grizzlies, let's just talk about, yeah, they went 0-3. So clearly this situation has really derailed them. Now they're tied with the Kings for number 7 in standings. So that's bad for the Grizzlies. I mean, this has just been a mess with Ja Morant. this whole thing that's going on. We'll see if what happens with that. I don't even know what to think about with the Grizzlies right now. All right, but then moving on, number 11, we have the Miami Heat dropping down a spot here. The Heat this week go 2-2. So yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure about the Heat. We obviously know Jimmy Butler's an excellent player. We obviously know this whole team is really a good team. But like, what else do we think about Miami? I mean, it's not the best team in the world. They just have been very inconsistent this season. They start out the year bad. They've gone back on track, gone to above 500, but they just stayed there. And I don't think they're good enough to be contender right now. They got to be better than that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the Miami Heat can get on a roll before the playoffs. Obviously, if they're on fire, if they're heating up, as no pun intended there, but we'll see what this team could do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the Heat right now. All right, but then number 10, jumping up a spot here, we have the LA Clippers. Another similar team to the similar team to the Heat. I mean, just they're a good team in the regular. I mean, they started the year bad. And then they got back on track. We're a really solid team. Kawhi Leonard just not the same player as he was, but still, I do believe in LA Clippers. We all know this team's potential. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George in the playoffs. If this team can get on track, I mean, you do not want to play the Clippers in any team. I mean, any game. As any team. I mean, if Kawhi Leonard, he has the experience. Paul George does as well. And this whole roster with Russell Westbrook as well. The Clippers, dangerous team in the playoffs. But yeah, I'm not sure if this team's a contender right now because they've been so inconsistent. That's really my thoughts on the Clippers and the Heat. But then, staying at the same spot at number 9, we have the New York Knicks. Been a good season for New York. That is for dang sure. The Knicks got ripped for the Brunson signing this offseason, but Brunson's been excellent for them. Let's be honest, he's been a really good player for this team. Julius Randle's also been a really freaking good player. The Knicks this week go 2-1. So solid week for New York. I'm not sure what to do with the Knicks. Because I don't think that they're a top contender here. I think that they're more of a really solid playoff team, could win a series, could go to the semis, the conference semis, do some damage, but I probably wouldn't pick this team to go past the conference semis, and that's just not a contender in my eyes for the Knicks because Julius Randle's a really good player, but do we think that he's going to be able to lead this team to a championship? I don't think so. Then it's been a really good year for the Knicks, but I don't think it's going to be enough to be what I said about a contender. But then jumping up 7 spots, a team that's close to going into the contender tier, and they're jumping up this much because of the Curry return here. We have the Golden State Warriors going 2-2 this week. Where are they? Yeah, 2-2. So decent week. Steph Curry comes back. He lights up the Thunder, even though the loss scores 40 points. Obviously, with Curry, he is so freaking good. The defending champs for a reason. You don't want to play the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. They can do a lot of damage to you. But yeah, I really like the Warriors as their potential. I mean, I think I need to see a little bit more of Curry. Can he stay healthy till the playoffs? Does this team deserve to be in the contender tier? There's a lot of questions there with Golden State, but as I mentioned, with Curry, I mean, you can't really count on Curry. So maybe this team should be in the contender tier right now, but I am going to keep them in the playoffs tier. And then number 7 here, the Sacramento Kings going to be jumping up a spot. The Kings this week are going to be going 2-1, so decent enough week for Sacramento. The Kings, obviously, it's been a very good year. They're finally going to make the playoffs after a long time. I'm happy for the Kings. I mean, Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox have been a really good duo on that team, as well as all the other players that they got. Yeah, I mean, you got to love the Sacramento Kings. I mean, obviously they missed the playoffs for a while. It's been a good season for them, and I felt bad for the Kings fans for a very long time, but they're gonna make it after all this struggling. Do I think this team's a contender? Though? No, I don't. I think that they're a better version of the Knicks, but yeah, do I see the Kings going on a full run? It's been a really good season, but they're still a little bit too young, a little bit too unproven for me to give them the contender tier. But yeah, I do think that they're going to be a good playoff team and a team that can be deadly in the postseason. All right, so that is the playoffs here. Now we're getting to the true contenders in my eyes. Number 6 here, staying at the same spot, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs this week are going to be going undefeated, I believe. They went 3-0. It's a good week for Cleveland. Yeah, but the Cavs obviously a really good team with Donovan Mitchell. Really explosive offense. Not the best defense in the world, but when their offense is on, it's really hard to stop this team when Donovan Mitchell and Garland and all these other pieces for this team is lighting up the scoreboard. I mean, how can you stop the Cavs? Yeah, I mean, it's just very good. A young team still. They've got a really bright future. But yeah, obviously Cleveland, I really am a believer in the Cavs in the playoffs. I think that they can go on a run and potentially win a championship. All right, but then number 5, dropping down a spot, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers this week are going to be going 3-1. So good week for Philly. But they're just going to be dropping down because of one other team that I think deserves to come ahead of them here. 76ers, obviously, Joel Embiid and James Harden. They've been excellent. Ever since James Harden's came back, I've been mentioning this. This team's been lighting up. Teams have been really, really clicking right now. And yeah, the 76ers, same old Sixers. They're a top contender right now. Not much else to say that I haven't said already about them. But then number 4, coming ahead of them, we're going to have the Phoenix Suns. I just think with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and this whole team, they're better. I know they're a little bit newer, which is why I'm a little bit more hesitant on the Philadelphia 76ers because Kevin Durant just arrived there. And they weren't a very good team earlier this season. But yeah, they've really climbed themselves out of a hole. They're 37-29 now. They go 3-0 this week. It's been a great start to the Kevin Durant era for Phoenix. And we'll see if they can win a championship this year or soon. I mean, obviously, they're a top contender in my eyes. KD, obviously one of the best players in the league. Devin Booker, one of the best guards. This whole team just really freaking good team. I mean, you can't really say it else. I mean, it would be nice for the Sixers to win a championship because a lot of those players have not ever won a championship ever. So we'll see if Phoenix can do it. Obviously, KD's been a big impact on that team. But then number 3 here, we have the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets this week are going to go 2-1, so good week for Nikola Jokic and Denver. Obviously, Nikola Jokic is one of the MVP favorites right now. I mean, dominant center in the league. He knows how to do it all for this team. And yeah, the Denver Nuggets, same old Nuggets team that I've said all season, like I've said about the Sixers. But then the top 2 teams, I'm going to go the Celtics here, staying at the same spot. Was debating going Nuggets over Celtics, but I am going to go with the Celtics. They had a bad week going 1-3, but this defense for Boston is still very good, and this whole team is still very freaking good with Jason Tatum. Just a bad week isn't going to stop me from giving the Celtics the edge of the Nuggets. They've obviously had a dominant season so far. But yeah, like I said, a little bit worrisome. Maybe the Nuggets are the better team. Maybe the Suns are the better team. But right now I'm going to keep the Celtics at 2. Then clearly now the number 1 team in my eyes, the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, in my opinion, the best player in the whole league. He is just dominating. I mean, right now I think he should be the MVP. And the Milwaukee Bucks, freaking hard to stop this team. I mean, how do you stop? They're just unstoppable with Giannis, with Middleton, with this whole team. I mean, teams still haven't figured out how to stop Giannis. It's just that crazy. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video today. Hope you all enjoyed the content. Comment down below your NBA power rankings. And anyway,